everyone, I'm Brent Skarkey from the State Chamber of Oklahoma. It's an election year and we're excited to kick off a new interview series on okdecides.com. The site, the best way to stay up to date with the latest candidate developments in our state. The State Chamber's Chad Warmington going one-on-one with statewide office candidates to give the business community and Oklahomans a great look at what the men and women who are running for office are all about. The interview does not constitute an endorsement from the State Chamber. It's just a place where they can be heard and voters can learn more.
We're here with Secretary Jeff Starling. Secretary Starling, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Chad. Good to be back in this room.
Yeah, I know. And it's maybe the first time as secretary that you've been in this room. I don't know.
That may be right, actually.
You were just here as Jeff before, but now you're here as Secretary.
That's exactly right. It's a little different context, but very familiar people still.
It is. Let me give a little bio on Jeff. Secretary Starling is an attorney, a businessman. He's got more than 20 years of professional experience. He currently is serving as Oklahoma Secretary of Energy and Environment. His background includes clerking for federal district court judge, serving as an aide to chairman of the U.S. Senate Armed Services Committee. He's worked with clients in agriculture, oil and gas, and law enforcement, and he's got experience managing business and teams as well. Secretary Starling is a graduate of Wake Forest University, earning both a law degree and a bachelor's degree in political science, and he is running and is a candidate for Attorney General.
That's right. I got a question for you.
Oh,
you're going to have questions for me.
This is turning the tables already.
I know. All right. So I chaired the Legal Reform Committee of the State Chamber for a decade.
This is true.
Am I the longest serving chair of that committee in the history of the State Chamber? Because that's what I've been telling people.
If you're not, we will lie and say you are. Okay, but I'm pretty sure you are. I
think nobody else is that insane to do
I don't think anyone was willing to take that punishment for
that's
that
exactly
long.
right. Okay, well, I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, we will confirm it, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Yeah,
so
we're going to go with it.
I'm gonna start you off at a kind of a big picture question.
Yep.
So you're running for Attorney General, but overall, what's your vision for Oklahoma when you're thinking about running for this office?
Yeah, well, generally, just to back up for a second, I want to run for Attorney. I am running for Attorney General because I believe Oklahoma's best days are ahead. We have tremendous opportunity, partly because of the work the State Chamber does, and really taking advantage of the next decade. I want Oklahoma to be a place where my girls, I have two girls, 19 and 17, where they decide to start a career, raise a family and live. But we got to have the right people in the right spot. And part of that is, I think, having private sector folks in public office. We just don't have enough private sector folks, especially at the statewide level. And my career is in the private sector. I've never run for political office before. And so that's the mindset I bring to really hopefully take advantage of what is, I think, a tremendous opportunity in front of Oklahoma. We struggle in some places. We've done very well in some other places. There's places that we struggle do tend to be reoccurring issues, and we got to get away from the mindset of kind of having a musical chairs among career politicians, right? Going from one elected position to another and expecting different results. And so that's the mindset I bring to this office. Is that your question?
No, that was a great question. Yeah, I wasn't sure you're done, so I wanted to jump in. So let's fast forward 4 years from now. You're just finishing up your first term as Attorney General. What do you want voters to say you accomplished? What do you want them to be able to say, I got done these things because that's what you wanted me to do?
Yeah, so I bring to the Attorney General's office heavy legal experience, right? I mean, I was a practice lawyer. I had a national law practice. With really one of the AmJur 50 firms, the top 50 firms in the country. I was a litigation partner with them, traveling across the country doing cases. And then later on, I went from being the person in the courtroom, in front of juries, in front of judges, doing depositions, doing hearings, to running litigation teams at Devon Energy, where I was the head of litigation there for a number of years, where we had, at any given time, 200 to 250 cases in 7 or 8 states, right? And I was responsible for putting together those litigation teams and making sure we had the best results. And so I bring to this office a wealth of experience on the litigation front. And really what I want to do in that office is a couple of things. One is I look at the issues we have around illegal marijuana in the state. I think we can change the way we've approached that problem. We've, in my opinion, played kind of whack-a-mole with it. We'll find an illegal grow house and we'll knock it down, and literally these criminal enterprises, largely backed by the Chinese, will bus people in, they get off the bus, they don't even know where they are, and they start growing again, right? these are criminal enterprises, just like, and business folks understand this, right? Their operations may be here in Oklahoma, but their financial arms are in New York. And so we need to partner with the Trump administration. It's a job, what day one task for me is to go to the Trump administration and say, listen, we need your support with the U.S. Attorney's Office, the DOJ, and the FBI to pull out these organizations root and branch. And so that's a day one priority. The other day one priority is, and you see this, not only in our current Attorney General's office, but it's becoming more of a national issue where you have two tiers of justice and lawfare. We read a lot about that. I think having an outsider that's really committed to being Attorney General, we've had a series of fairly short-term Attorneys Generals, and folks that are geared towards other offices. My commitment is to go in there and be committed to being an Attorney General for 4 years and running for re-election and serving 8 years and really leaving a legacy as Attorney General. Doing that allows politics to get out of that office, get back to calling balls and strikes, not serving short-term political objectives. And I think the fundamental importance of that is if you look at the statewide offices that we elect, the one that the public needs to have the trust in the most is the Office of Attorney General. You're dealing with people's liberties, property rights, and sometimes even lives. And so calling balls and strikes that Chief Justice John Roberts envisioned is vitally important to that office and will be my focus from day one.
Let me shift a little bit, maybe kind of back to a broader perspective and I want to talk a little bit about Oklahoma Competes, which is our initiative. It's kind of our new way of looking at the state's competitiveness, both regionally and nationally. And through that lens, in terms of how to make Oklahoma more competitive, and we think about it from economic climate, workforce, infrastructure, and innovation. Those are kind of the core pillars. Which one of those things can your office, or all, which one of those can contribute through your office to Oklahoma's long-term economic competitiveness?
Well, let me first say, with the state chamber and the great work you've done, I've been involved in that for quite some time. As we mentioned earlier, I chaired the Legal Reform Committee for a decade. But with that also, I sat on the advisory council, and we dealt with a cross-section of reforms that the state chamber pushed to make Oklahoma a more pro-business and business-friendly state. And we've made progress. We look at tax competitiveness. That's one of the things you mentioned. We've made great progress in that. And just last year with Kevin Stitt and Governor Stitt and the Pathway to Zero is a further step in that front. Charter schools, the expansion of that is another thing that the chamber's been very helpful in getting passed and really having us be one of the most school-friendly states, have the most options for parents of any state in the country. But we do lag around GDP growth and job growth. We are the only state, as you well know, that lost advanced industry jobs last year, or over the last decade, which is just amazing to me. So when you look at the state chamber's plan going forward, I think the Attorney General touches on a few of those. One, it really is based on legal and regulatory reform. Right, I bring to that a pro-business mindset. Let me tell you an example of that. So not only do you have tort reform and those efforts that I've been involved with, but regulatory reform too. We are using at DEQ, which is one of the agencies that's under my secretary watch now, we have a pilot program, a 3-month pilot program where we brought in a vendor, and it's AI, and they're streamlining the regulations. It's a 3-month program. By the way, we need to change those things to get this 3-month pilot program done, which I negotiated for them to do for free. It took me 4.5 months to get it approved through the state contracted system, right? Something's a little off, but they've stepped in. They've been working for 3 weeks now and identified over 300 regulations where the cost exceed the benefits to the state. Cost in Oklahoma businesses $32.2 million a year. That's where we're focused. And so the Office of Attorney General can take the learnings of that, and rather than the DEQ having to learn it anew, and the OW, Water Resources Board or the Department of Ag having to learn this process anew every time, the Attorney General, which is one of the most unheralded influences the Attorney General has, is they're also the General Counsel, the head lawyer for all the state agencies, and use that platform to have experts in how this is done and push that out through the state agencies to make Oklahoma a more business-friendly state. So that's clearly where my mind is. Currently also infrastructure is a big part of the plan too. We're laser focused on electricity prices. In Oklahoma, we have among, if not the lowest, electricity prices in the entire country. Huge competitive advantage for us, especially we read about data centers and that sort of thing. We sometimes get lost in what the demands for electricity are, but it's not just that. It's heavy industry, heavy manufacturing.
Yeah. It isn't all about data centers.
It is
There's
not.
a lot of
it's
manufacturing that depends
more,
on that.
which brings a lot of jobs with it. And we need to be laser focused on keeping electricity prices low, because that's a competitive advantage for Oklahoma. So that's one of the things my office is particularly focused on right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of alignment there, and I think Oklahoma has a real opportunity to win if we can really lean in on some of those things. And then, obviously, we've got positions that are running that are going to be dealing more with the workforce and the education climate in Oklahoma.
Sure.
But you pair what the Attorney General's office can be doing with those things.
Yeah.
To your point, we've got a real significant opportunity to win. Let me ask you a higher level question too, just to kind of get your perspective. And we ask this of all candidates, really, from statewide to legislative. Give us your perspective on how you define free enterprise, but then from your office, give us an example of how your definition of free enterprise is going to impact how you are going to run your office.
Yeah. So free enterprise, I'm very pro-competition, right? Transparency in public dealings, but also competition among businesses. So if you look at how that affects the Attorney General's office, there's certainly any anti-competitive behavior will be prime for the Attorney General to step in on and make sure that we protect consumers from anti-competitive behavior. But also it goes back to the regulatory piece again and making sure that we're there to safeguard our citizens of the state and protect against bad actors. But there's a line there, and it's pretty clear to me, where you have business-friendly regulations, but then you get the heck out of the way and let businesses compete. And don't be a burden. Government should be there to serve as a catalyst to business. I mean, Oklahoma, you know this well, has a tremendous entrepreneurial experience, insatiability appetite, right? I mean, we are an entrepreneurial state. We need to make sure that kind of atmosphere and that kind of mindset continues, and government should not stand in the way of that.
Yeah. Do you have any specific examples that maybe kind of have bothered you over the years, things you'd want to address where you've seen the government overreach in Oklahoma or fail to act in order to kind of, incentivize that free enterprise system to really go to work? Anything kind of come to mind in terms of examples?
The AI project that we're doing, the initial response has been very positive. But I tell you, the state, I think, especially under Governor Stitt's leadership, state agencies are really looking forward to how to help businesses. The particular vendor we used is, they've helped West Virginia, Texas, a few other states too. But they said their adoption among the DEQ has been bigger than in any other state. They literally have a widget on their computer, and they'll type in things like, what are the top 10 regulations on our books where the costs exceed the benefits? And then the AI tool will do this. And then consistent with federal and state law, redline that regulation for us. Yeah. That's the kind of thing. I mean, so in the $32.2 million a year for businesses. Yeah. So that's a significant, place where government intrudes more than they should.
Yeah. Give me also kind of and this is maybe custom made for you because of your time with chairing your long tenure slug, but what makes the legal environment predictable for business in Oklahoma, and where do you think we still fall short today? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think regulations are still difficult to follow. The permitting side and licensing, occupational licensing, is still overly burdensome. We have tort reform issues too. I'll get to that in just a second. But on the permitting side, again, the use of AI is going to continue to accelerate, and it's going to be transformative to the state if we adopt these kind of forward-looking ways of approaching regulations and permitting. For example, one of the things we're talking about now with DEQ is having a permitting portal where you have AI-assisted permitting. You say, I want to open a factory. What permits do I need? And it gives you prompts to fill out the permit so that your permit is filled. It's complete right off the bat, and it enters complete. It doesn't get rejected 4 weeks later for being incomplete. That's the type of thing where, and by the way, that consolidates down. I think if I have my numbers right, there are now at the DEQ 8 separate permitting portals, each with different login information. This consolidates it down to one, has AI-assisted permitting. So that sort of stuff's really, really important, and we need to continue to, I think, that's a place where Oklahoma could be a vanguard and a leader across the entire country in doing that. On the tort reform issues, we still see insurance rates through the roof. They keep increasing. Some of that's driven by things that are outside of our control, but some of it's driven by excessive verdicts and excessive litigation. We need to continue to lean into how do we hold accountable people that do wrong, but also not create excessive burdens and unnecessary litigation. I was watching TV last week, I think, and across the crawler on the TV came, Judge holds boneless chicken wings are actually chicken wings. You're like, what are we doing, right? Why does that ever make it to a judge, right? So we need to think how to continue to streamline and make more efficient our judicial system as well.
It's crazy that somebody needed that clarity.
And then it went to a judge and went to a court.
That's yeah. We could go on for a long time about that. And well, so let's do this. Let's kind of wrap up and give us kind of the wrap up. You've been making your way around the state for the last couple of months. Give us your thoughts on, when this campaign comes down to it, what's the thing you're looking forward to the most about telling Oklahomans of why you need to be Attorney General? Yeah,
so I think when you look at the Attorney General's race here, I mean, we're 3.5 months out. By the time people see us, we'll be closer, right? I mean, that's by definition. It's right around the corner. When you look at my resume and how that fits in with what's required by the Attorney General, I worked for a federal judge, had heavy federal criminal law experience there, federal criminal RICO drug crimes, capital murder cases, then went from the criminal side to the civil side, and was a lawyer in the courtroom, doing depositions, doing hearings, doing trials, and then I led litigation teams at Devon Energy, and then I led business. And so I have a very broad background, and it really touches on all the points that an Attorney General candidate does. I think when you look at the Office of Attorney General and statewide elected offices generally, those offices are, at least Attorney General, needs to be geared towards prosecuting, carrying on law, not working on backroom deals with career politicians, right? And getting politics out of that office, focusing on what the law actually says, applying facts to the law, and making reasoned judgments based on experience. And I'm the only candidate that has that background.
I don't think we could end it better than that. It was a perfect summation. You ended well. I really appreciate you taking some time to come and spend with us, but I also really appreciate you taking the time, and we'd like to thank candidates. Stepping up and running is a service to the state, and being willing to put your name on the ballot is a service, and thank you for doing that, and thank you for spending your time and talent campaigning for this office. Appreciate you doing that.
Well, thank you, Chad. I really appreciate the time, and we appreciate all the State Chamber does.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.